What's going on, investors? Dest here from Investments. Today I want to bring you a video where I'm going to read through this Reddit post about Theta and his detailed thoughts on Theta and its massive potential. Reason being is on the last video I did, the Theta video, I got a lot of positive feedback on explaining Theta. And I just wanted to follow up by reading this detailed thoughts because I read through it and thought it was very informative for the future of Theta and very good read. So before we get started, I would like to promote the Discord channel here. Link is in the description below. Feel free to join up. I also have a Patreon. Link to that is also in the description below. Special thanks to the Patreon supporters. We got one so far, and I really appreciate it. So that's awesome. Glad to see that happening. All right, so let's get reading on this thing. So this was posted 5 days ago by Chronix82 on the Theta Network Reddit channel. So my detailed thoughts on Theta and its massive potential. In my strong opinion, Theta is the #1 sleeping giant in the crypto space by far. And what it will do over the next few years will shock even those that are paying attention to it now. Bandwidth sharing, CPU sharing, GPU sharing, storage sharing, DEX, a decentralized exchange, NFTs, which will include exclusives with major movie, entertainment, and gaming studios and platforms, smart contracts, low fees, incentive for participants, major partnerships with some of the biggest tech, gaming, and entertainment companies on the planet, with more coming soon. They'll also be able to expand the nodes from a few thousand organically to over 1 billion by adding edge nodes to cell phones, computers, smart TVs, and even eventually video game consoles. This will be done via a simple software update when the timing is right, aka strategically. Never mind that right now as we speak, Theta TV is being used as a beta test for YouTube and Twitch. More will follow. So once it's ready, it can be leveraged by those platforms as a second layer solution, which will be overlapped on top of their current CDNs on their platforms, and will be rolled out officially in the future shortly after the nodes are expanded from thousands to hundreds of millions. This will happen via the planned software updates across all these tech companies' devices, Samsung, Apple, Sony, and more, which are already validators, but have not yet made it public that they are currently having Theta Labs stake on their behalf for the time being. 7 billion market cap might seem high, but it really isn't when you understand that 100% of the total tokens are already released, something almost all other cryptos in the top 50 cannot say. So the market cap is based on the full supply, not a portion of released supply like most cryptos, which is noteworthy. And it also has a cap on the total supply, which again, a lot of cryptos do not have. Add on to it the fact that almost 60% of all Theta is currently staked. This will grow over the time to the point that even trying to get Theta will be extremely hard. The uses for the Theta token beyond just staking will be added to give the token even more use case and value over time. And the reward for staking Theta is not the Theta token itself, but instead T-Fuel, aka Theta itself isn't inflationary. And to avoid the gas token T-Fuel from becoming too inflationary and to incentivize people to want to hold the token instead of just selling it, they're letting people now stake T-Fuel as well. And on top of that, they're going to burn T-Fuel to help negate inflation. So that's something we talked about in the previous video. So make sure you check that out if you didn't already. I've seen a lot of people say, what if Google decides to do this on their own? Won't that kill Theta? Or why didn't Google do this themselves instead of investing in Theta? And the answer to those common questions is a multi-layered but quite easy to understand. First, Google was one of the first investors in Theta for a reason. They want to be part of this network instead of creating their own version of this tech. Google is known for buying or owning a piece of what makes sense instead of creating it in their own. And YouTube is a good example of this, as YouTube was doing better than Google Video was, so they bought it. Second, and this is the biggest reason, it lets the network include more than just Google, including direct competitors. As if Google tried to do what Theta is doing, it would be able to add nodes to Android phones due to its relationship with Samsung, but it wouldn't be able to put nodes on Apple phones since Apple would never use direct competitors' networks. Same with Sony putting edge nodes on PlayStation versus Microsoft, putting edge nodes on Xbox, and so on. But because Theta is neutral, in between, it lets these companies leverage the network together in a way that they all can benefit from. So Google and Apple can use it, Sony and Samsung can use it, Netflix and Disney can use it, and so on. Third, Theta is one of the few cryptos out there with patents on their tech. Sidebar here. Ironically, they just got another patent after this was posted, I think a day ago. Very few projects have viable real-world products that require this, and the ones that do don't own a patent on their tech in most cases. Theta will also change how major platforms, YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, and so on, think about their revenue models as they start to shift away from relying on advertisers or limited content subscriptions that they currently rely on for profit. And they'll do so in a way that lets them keep a bigger piece of the profit as a whole. On the flip side, it will also in turn change the monetization models for the content creators of TV, music, movies, and movie studios themselves, allowing their content to reach wider audiences while letting them rely less on advertisers or content platform revenue models to make money for their content. And lastly, it will change how the end user pays for all this or supports their favorite content creators. As a content creator gains a percentage of any T-Fuel earned by the viewers watching their content, the viewer also gets a percentage of the T-Fuel as well while watching, aka they're sharing their bandwidth, which will incentivize them to want to watch and engage more. And the viewer only has to pay for the specific content they want to watch, unlike subscription models like Netflix or Amazon Prime, where you pay a subscription, but you probably don't care about 80% of the content that it has on there at any given time. Aside from that, Theta never had a public ICO. It planned to initially, but due to a lawyer advice, decided against it due to lack of regulation clarity, and has gone out of their way to not get listed on any US exchanges. Both of these were done for a reason, which means it has no expected issues with SEC. Again, something a fair amount of cryptos can't say. And once more, regulatory clarity is established in the US, which may stem from the Ripple lawsuit. Theta and T-Fuel will instantly be accepted onto a massive amount of new exchanges at that time. On top of that, fast forward a few years, when SpaceX Starlink global satellite internet platform truly starts to roll out, Theta potentially can become the chosen network to supply the ground-based relay network, aka a global mesh network via its proof of relay aspect, which will be used to avoid multiple trillions of costs of infrastructure addition updates that would otherwise be needed to make it work efficiently. If you think 7 billion market cap is high, just wait a few years when this absolute monster is 3+ trillion market cap. People are going to be kicking themselves for not seeing what this project is and not getting involved sooner. Theta has earned the nickname Godzilla for a reason. Again, people have no idea how big this thing is going to become. P.S. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You're responsible for all investment decisions you decide to make. So, a couple things I did want to bring up that were great points. And we'll start from the bottom and we'll work our way forward. I don't know anything about the SpaceX Starlink thing, but it makes sense. If this version 3 update of Theta is going to make this a global computer for hire, basically, a supercomputer for hire, as we've seen these edge nodes become that with the folding jobs that they're doing at home, there's no reason why a company like SpaceX couldn't use this to piggyback off. It'd be a cheap supercomputer to rely on, and the infrastructure would already be established. Going up, the next thing is regulations and SEC. So I would say like 70% of the things you see in any of these Theta channels that you're in, like whether it be the Facebook Theta group or the Reddit Theta group or the Discord, is, hey, how do I get Theta? I'm a US citizen and I can't find it anywhere. So they have gone out of their way to not include US citizens, and for good reason, because they have avoided so many issues by doing this. And once this regulation gets clarity, there's no reason these exchanges won't list them. I mean, I know for a fact Coinbase just announced that they were looking into listing Theta. I think it's more of a matter of, does Theta want to be listed on Coinbase instead of does Coinbase want to list Theta at this point? Next thing was subscription platforms and their revenue basis. So obviously we all understand how these subscription platforms are now generating revenue. You know, some of them are doing ad revenue, some of them are doing subscription fee revenue. So what I see Theta creating for this is more of like a YouTube situation where you get the content you directly want, but it just adds the layer of ease for paying these content creators generating revenue, and also the viewers for generating revenue. So in reality, a lot of what you do on the internet is being monetized, you know, whether it be them selling your data or selling your metadata or whatever. Right now you're being monetized, even watching my video. So don't hold it against me, but you know, it's part of the game, and this will be a more direct method to this. So you're cutting out the middleman at this point, you know, and maybe it's based on a royalty smart contract method. You know, we've seen that existing with NFTs now, how easy that is. It's just a checkbox. I like this idea because I really dislike the subscription-based services. You know, I think at home we just got a new Apple TV, right? And we just logged into 4 or 5 different subscription-based services. And it's like, you got all these usernames, all these passwords, all these bills that you're paying on top of your normal cable bill at this point, you know, so it's not benefiting anyone to have that. So if I could just have the shows that I want and the content that I want, it'd be a great thing. Obviously for the end consumer, it'd be much more beneficial. The next thing was the Google thing. So yeah, Google is, I believe they're currently running a validator node, which means they are a big contributor. And this makes perfect sense that they would contribute but not own. You know, if they only own a small portion, there's no reason Apple can't get involved. You know, just like they mentioned with Sony and Samsung being competition, or Microsoft and Sony. You know, if it's an independent network, it has a better chance of roping in more bigger name companies. Then you're not building silos where you have to tear down walls, or everyone has their own Theta network. You know, everyone would just use one. Then he went in to say some things about the $7 billion market cap and how a lot of other cryptos don't have full supply already. You know, Theta is one of these other ones with a finite cap on 1 billion tokens on Theta, and the full supply, 1 billion tokens, is already released. You look at Bitcoin even, and their 21 million finite cap. You know, some of these websites are using that 21 million as the market cap, when there's really only, I think, like 18 million in existence, and high percentage of those are already lost. But the important thing is that finite cap is already hit. So there's no more coming into existence. 60% of those are already locked up. So as more people are trying to hop on the Guardian node bandwagon or Validator node bandwagon, supply is just going to drastically dry up. And you're not even going to be able to buy Theta. And that's probably part of the reason why you're seeing this straight up run right here. Theta, the last thing it talks about is Theta TV being a beta for YouTube and Twitch. What they're doing right now is they're building the network out, and they needed something to test it on. So Theta TV is an obvious test bed. Realistically, it's not the end all be all. Like they've said from the beginning, they don't want to be a streaming service like a YouTube or a Twitch or anything. They want to be the infrastructure that feeds those in the future. So, you know, I expect he's right that we're going to see more and more partnerships coming out with big tech, gaming, entertainment companies. You know, they are releasing their decentralized exchange. That 3.0 update is coming out on April 21st, I believe, and NFTs are going to be there. You know, there's a lot to look forward to with Theta, and I think this is just the beginning. So that's all I got to say on this detailed thoughts on Theta and its massive potential. I really enjoyed this article from Chronix82. Thought it was really well written and very informative on what the future could look like with Theta. So let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Let me know what you thought of his article. Let me know if you have anything that you would add to this article. My next video coming out is going to be about the Theta nodes, the different types of nodes. I had this plan for a while, but it's taking a little longer just because of complexity. And I wanted to make sure I got everything dialed in because it's a little more in depth. So, till next time, later.